Hello everyone. So where are we? Well, this is part 2. The last video we just got lost. So while we're lost at sea, we're gonna go back because I didn't listen to Michael Steinbacher all the way. I cut him off again. So I'm gonna just open with him and let him speak about these rivers. Well, just note these patterns of frequencies that are interlaying with the larger bands as this goes along, as these come on in, and just let them talk and we'll go from there.
You see, I can't see why these rivers would run through mountains. 2,000 feet of mountain. Most of it is sediment. Geologists think that this area was granitic mountains originally, much like the West, and then it got sloshed. A wave came over it from the Atlantic and deposited sediment above it. I have an article about Pennsylvania rocks that I'll put a link to underneath of this that shows the different distribution of different types of rocks through Pennsylvania. It's metamorphic in Philadelphia. As you go west, you get a little bit of volcanism, which is probably electrical. And then as you go west from there, it's all sediment, as if a giant wave of ocean came by, coating everything with sediment. You get down to Georgia, and then you have granitic mountains that you can actually see the granite. But most of what you see on the East Coast is sediment. Again, there'll be a link. So, now you got this river. Let's zoom in a little more. And it just does the craziest things. It goes through these areas, and then it runs right through ridges. It doesn't go around the ridges, it goes through the ridges. As if the river was there first, draining an area to the west of the Atlantic Ocean towards the Atlantic Ocean. And then these mountains were created above it. And the rivers prevented accumulation. And if there was a slosh, the rivers would have found the path of least resistance and cleaned out whatever was deposited during the slosh of an ocean coming across and opened up what had been there before as a drainage. So this is not just something in the western U.S., western Americas. This is everywhere. You have rivers running through mountains that don't make any sense because the river was there first. We live on a planet with liquid water. It drains.
So as he's talking, this is still linked from the last video. Just knowing it really is. It's everywhere on this planet. Like, well, not only that, but these filaments. And when you come over here, and you're really noticing these frequencies. Now, this isn't through a mountain, really, but while you're noticing these frequencies, you got, like, these bubbles over here. But let me come over. I got lost looking at these features over here. But notice there's also these patterns that come in at a much larger scale. Talking about frequency, you see it in some of these islands. There's like a directional line, and then there's also, like, very distinctly, but at a way larger scale. And this is a fascinating area right here. But, like, this is almost like a larger, but as this is taking place, it's sending shockwaves this way and ripples this way and distinct band this way. These lines hit here, this fractal branching in this way. This is really cool because it's overlaid too over here. Like he was saying down in the Appalachia, it's like there's a layering almost. I don't want to scroll in accidentally on like any secret military bases. Like these patterns traced throughout the land, almost like a liquefaction. Like this is. But as that's happening, there's also water involved. You can kind of see it. It like traces through the land in all these areas. And there's like a larger plume. And some of these larger plumes, like this keeps going. But there's the distinct line. Are we on this? Yeah, cool. Alright, just for scale, this thing traces 300 miles in as just that feature. And then you see additional ones, and if you apply like, see, I brought out the plasma tubes because it kind of shows you how this, it gives you a visible comparison. And I don't know if it's, when you look at some of this, like it might not be actual plasma that's coming in, but there's some kind of frequency that was running through this, not just the rivers, but branching out, affecting the land all around it. Like this almost reminds me of whatever those, the lines on a skull, where it just kind of squiggles along and it branches out and there's a larger pattern to it. That's a much larger feature, but notice how it acts way different on one side sometimes than another. And all these, like, this is still planet Earth, which is fascinating to me. Like, here is a very distinct, weird frequency that's like, then it gets distorted and it starts carrying this shape, traces back over here and out up here and out here. This squiggle where it, and you gotta wonder, because like these are through larger mountains, but then when you come over here, this is the Grand Canyon, and this is all supposed to be carved by water, and this is water that's supposedly carved through rock. Then you come over here and it's like, what's stopping the water just to go from here to here? It's going to go all the way around here and come back over here. And instead of all the way through here, it's going to come back all the way around here. And then instead of going through just right through there, it's going to come all the way back over here and up and around through here and over through here and then back around through here. Like, what's going on? And it keeps tracing out and branching in that weird pattern of, then it gets a little bit more, then it curls back up and it comes back around and it comes up in here. And this is where you really get into the bands. But then you see, see, this stuff is like fascinating to me when you just go around and you have to wonder, like, what, if they're, seriously, if they're applying the same process and they say, let me take this off, zoom out. All this is covered by glaciers, so as this is melting here, you would expect similar effects, maybe like all along the coastline. And you have some of those effects over here, because that's where we're looking at on this map. And you get some of that up here, but it stops, like it's right here and along this area, but not here at all. Not at all around here. But then it comes in here, and this is like a wave, and that's where I started originally, where you look at this, and it affects down here, and then it affects down here, and there's smaller patterns that you can see, but when you zoom out, what scale are we? We come in here, that's like 176 miles where you see that pattern in, from this to these to this. This is really cool because it comes in through here, and you're seeing there's different things going on at the same time. Like there's something coming in from here and shooting out, but another thing affecting through here. This is going to take more than 2 videos. I know that. I know that for sure. But there's like 3 main currents coming in. Technically 4. We got one right here. We got another right here, and it jets out. Another smaller one right here, kind of like that. This one similar to this. This much larger, and a much larger plume out, I think, than this. This branches out further there. But see these features, they trace it like this comes in around here and around through here. You see that? It like comes and curls out, and then, but this, it's coming in from around here. In this whole area, there's like that rebound effect. And if you zoom out and you trace this line, it comes directly back in line with this. Like this whole area exhibits, you see what I'm saying? This is not something small. This is a much, much larger scale, but then you can zoom all the way in. Like you're looking at the Potomac. That actually kind of falls in line when you look at this band where you get this lake effect. Let me draw a straight line, because this traces almost like 3,000 miles, where everything kind of falls in that line of coming in from this side, but being prevented on this side. And that's what I mean by the distinct polarity. I'm going to have to talk a lot more about this. Thank you, Michael Steinbacher, and we'll talk again soon, I hope. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.